All right, it's that time of year again, and man, I absolutely could not be happier about it. What time of year is that? Time to throw micro jigs, targeting crappie, what we call here in South Louisiana sac-a-lait, and I love to do that around cypress trees, particularly with this technique. Come along with me, let's see if it's happening yet. I don't know, I may be jumping the gun, but we're about to find out. All right, my favorite technique for targeting these things is to throw a Bobby Garland slab hunter minnow against these cypress trees. These fish move up this time of year to spawn. Right now, they're obviously pre-spawn. Water temp in this area, 56.8. That's chillier than when I typically start doing this. But we had a severe Arctic blast 2 weeks ago, dumped snow in this whole region. And water temps, man, they've had a tough time rebounding. Definitely prefer to see something in the 60s, but I'm hoping this longer photo period, the days are getting longer, that's gonna inspire some fish to start moving up. Oh, we're gonna find out. We had a real thick fog bank this morning, so I kind of delayed my start. Then we go running around with all that fog. It actually broke on the way out here. Looks like it's gonna be a beautiful day. I do like cloudy conditions for targeting crappie, but I've had many great trips in the sun. We got down into the mid 40s last night, but actually the forecast high today is in the mid 70s. Good bit warmer than it's been, and unseasonably warm for February. Oh, there we go. All right, there's one. There's the first of the season. Look at this guy. That's good to see. That's definitely a white crappie. See that? And he's super light too. He was out. Good keeper size fish. So without question, that's a pre-spawn fish. He was not up on the trees. He was out staging, thinking about it, getting ready for it. The great thing about this technique is how hard they smack the bait. Just stop it on a dime. I did a pool test a while back on these Bobby Garland baits. You know, so many different Bobby Garlands that are designed for crappie. And I kind of compared and contrasted them. And this slab hunter minnow, at least to my eye, was the second best looking bait. The best looking bait I fished with and could not catch anything on it. Decided to try this one and began whacking the fish, and every time I use it I catch a good number of fish. It's just a fantastic bait. There we go, there we go. There's another one. There's another one. All right, another white crappie. There we go. All right. One's a fluke, two's a pattern. Well, interestingly enough, that fish, he was just there. He just loaded up. All right. Usually with this technique, you don't have to think about it. They smack it. Definitely find it's common. This river that I'm fishing has both white and black crappie, and you catch the whites in the colder water. Not that we couldn't catch a black today, we definitely could, but earlier in the season it's typically a white crappie deal. As the season moves along, it's be more and more black crappie. And this is just a deadly technique. I cannot recommend it highly enough. I know a lot of people fish with corks. Some people actually use little crankbaits. All that's certainly effective. I know it is. But this to me is the most effective. And besides, it's also the most fun, for sure. You want to kind of vary your retrieve until you find out at what depth those fish are holding. In general terms, you want to hold your rod high at the beginning of your cast and kind of lower it as you get closer to the boat. Oh, there we go. Oh, goodness, that's a nice one. That's a nice one. Oh, yeah, that's a real good one. Hopefully I get to show you this fish. Woo, woo. Oh, that's why it's a bass. Yeah, it would have been a nice sac-a-lait, wouldn't it have been? But he's a bass. Ooh, barely hooked. glad to get him. Half the fun of doing this is this incredible scenery, how beautiful this place is. And of course, there are cypress-studded rivers all over southern U.S. They all fish pretty similarly. I don't think I mentioned it, but I got this thing on a 16th ounce jig head. That's kind of my go-to. 1/32 is too light, 1/8 is a little too heavy. If it's super windy, I'd probably go with an 1/8, but obviously it's not. We had almost no wind today. It's a beautiful day. Type of day that makes you really glad winter's almost over. We're heading into spring. You just feel it in the air. There's one. Oh, I missed him. Had him halfway. He came off. Oh, there we go. That might be another bass. It sure is. Not a big one. It's a good hit, as you might imagine. Even with a small fish like this, man, they just stop that bait. Thanks for the thought, buddy. Oh, there we go. That's a nice one. All right, we got him. That's our first black crappie of the day. You see, they're wider than the whites for sure. The whites are a lot longer. This fish is really pale. When they get closer to the spawn, they'll be really, really lit up and dark. But he's a good fish. It's becoming apparent that these fish are not, very, very few of them, if any, are moved up yet. They are definitely staging. They're in pre-spawn mode. Every fish I'm catching is out. Also, oops, felt like a bite. Also, I fished a backwater canal and got no bites at all. Everything's kind of on this main body here. So the typical spawn here in South Louisiana takes place in the swamps in February, which of course we're in now. But in these rivers, it typically is not until March. The heart of the spawn, of course. You're always going to have some fish that move up early, some fish that move up late. It's always going to be the case every year. But if you have a trip where you come up and just maul drag them on the cypress trees, it's probably going to be in March. But as we move along in the month of February, it gets better and better, for sure. And that should happen this month. Even though we had that really, really cold blast in January, the next week or so looks really mild here. No significant cold coming, at least until next week. When we start getting to the point where the days get so long, it's really hard for it to stay cold for a prolonged period of time. And these fish, I don't know, man, there's just something about them. They are irresistible this time of year. I love to fish them. We got some great conditions today. I could definitely be in the marsh, and I'm sure I'd have some good success. But this is just too hard for me to pass up. And it's not great yet, that's for sure. I'm having to work for these fish, but I love working for them. It's fun. Oh, I missed him. Shoot, that was a great hit. And he was off. He was off. He just came unbuttoned. You know, crappie have really, really soft mouths. You do lose a fair number of fish. So my wife and I spent the last 8 days in Costa Rica. Had an absolutely fantastic time. Beautiful, beautiful country down there. Far prettier than I even realized. I did not bring a fishing rod. I committed to her that I wouldn't. So I didn't fish the whole time I was there. But I ate a whole lot of fish. A lot of the restaurants down there have fresh fish, and it's just fantastic. Just really, really great restaurants down. We went to a city called Santa Teresa, and we just had a ball, ate like kings. But one of the sauces they put on their fish, it's called chimichurri. Delicious. I gotta say, I don't think I've ever eaten it before, but I looked up how to make it, and it's pretty simple. So that's what I'm gonna do with these fish. Make a chimichurri sauce to put on them. I'm gonna show you how to do it. So stay tuned to the end of this video. Believe me, it's something you will definitely want to make. It is that good. Very, very easy. Oh, there we go. Oh, shoot. There we go. Oh, goodness. That's a big one. It's definitely a crappie, too. It is not a bass. Come on, dude. All right. That's a really nice one. Look at this big guy. Look at this. That's a beautiful fish. All right, we have definitely figured something out. He's hooked right in the top of the mouth. These fish are off the bank for sure. I mean, it's not surprising that's where they are, of course, but I've backed off, as you can tell. And what I'm doing, making a long cast and letting it fall, really letting it fall to the bottom and just kind of slowly dragging it. It's not coming back across the bottom. It's definitely up a little bit off that bottom. Right here, this far from the bank, it's 5 feet deep. I'd say this lure is coming in about halfway down, maybe a little bit lower than that. Oh, goodness, that was a great hit. And that might be a bass. Yep, that sure is. He smacked it. All right. Look, early in the season, with water temps like this, take anything you can get for sure. These bass are a lot of fun. Man, and he hit it hard. And just like his cousins, he was out off the bank. You figure these fish know what's up. They know what season it is. They're getting that urge to go to those banks. So they're staging. They're just getting close, trying to eat as much as they can in preparation for that spawn. The bass typically do spawn after the crappie, but again, it doesn't all happen at once for any of the species. So part of the deal with this, you're gonna make some bad casts, like I just made. Little twig sticking out, line wrapped around it. Actually wasn't all that bad of a cast. You just don't see all these little sticks sticking out. Sometimes something's hanging out of the tree and you're not looking there, you're looking toward the shoreline and throw right over it. It's just gonna happen. It's part of the deal. Good thing this time of year you don't have to worry about wasps. Not yet, coming soon though. A day like today, casting accuracy is not as important as it will be later in the season. At a certain point, you're gonna wanna kind of knock the bark off those cypress trees, but that's not the case today. Fish are pulled out, so you don't have to be all that accurate in your casting. And I definitely think the right rod is important to this technique. I'm using an Okuma SST. This one is 6 foot ultralight. It's kind of the right balance between casting accuracy and still being able to get a good hook set on a fish. You definitely want to react pretty quickly when those fish strike the bait, because you know I'm using 4-pound test line right now. 4-pound test. As you might imagine, it's got a lot of stretch. I do suffer some break-offs because I use such light line, but I definitely feel it gives me more strikes. In the long run, it pays off. Now the water's actually dirty enough today. It's definitely got a little stain to it. I could, oh, I missed him when I saw the fish too. I saw him. I could definitely get away with 6-pound test today for sure. But this is just kind of my standard rig. I want that fish back. He clobbered it. And as most crappie anglers know, the fish do feed up. So you want to fish over their heads rather than under their bellies. So if you're going to err on the side of fishing too fast and too high. You can kind of adjust from there if you're not getting bites, whatever, and slow things down, maybe get a little bit deeper. But you don't necessarily want to really drag the bait along the bottom. That almost never works for me. I can't think of a time when it's really worked well. All right, so what I learned during my Costa Rica trip is that there are lots of variations to chimichurri sauce, but there are 4 ingredients that every chimichurri has to have. Let me show you what those are. I'm doing a little bit of a variation tonight, kind of making my own spin on it, just putting some ingredients in it that I like. It'll hopefully turn out good. I don't know, I've never tried this, but we'll find out tonight. But let me show you what ingredients I got. All right, the first main ingredient in every chimichurri is parsley. I'd prefer flat leaf Italian parsley. The store I went to didn't have it, so I got this, you know, kind of regular parsley here. Then you need some type of acid. A lot of people use vinegar. I'm gonna go ahead and use lime. Totally acceptable. You can use lemon juice if that's what you got, whatever. But you gotta have some kind of acid. Then we've got some garlic. I don't know how much it is, so I'm gonna use probably a fairly good amount. Definitely not this whole thing, but certainly a few cloves at least. And then you've got to have olive oil. Those are the 4 ingredients that every chimichurri has to have. In addition to that, you kind of put your own spin on it. I'm going to do that tonight. I'm going to put some cilantro in mine just because I love cilantro. You can also put oregano. If your taste is kind of more in that direction, whatever, I love cilantro, and put some cilantro in it. I'm also going to put some hot sauce that I really like the taste of. Some people use red pepper flakes. That's fine. Obviously, if you want to put that in there, I'm going to go ahead and put this hot sauce, and then some salt and pepper. That's it. It's really a simple sauce. It's surprising how good it is considering how few ingredients are in it, but it's really delicious. All right, I got a pan heating up. I'm gonna go ahead and sear these fish, but first I'm gonna make the chimichurri sauce while that pan's heating up. Also got another pan going. I'm gonna go ahead and throw some veggies in there just to have as a side to the fish. Also got some potatoes in the oven and make some baked potatoes, so we're gonna have a feast tonight. All right, I'm gonna do this in a food processor. Just gonna do a couple of quick pulses. Just because I'm kind of lazy and I think that's gonna be the easiest way to do this. I'm gonna pull the tops off this parsley. I don't want all these stems in there. All right, got our garlic in there. I put 5 cloves, probably a lot, probably too much, but I really like garlic. I'll go ahead and squeeze some lime juice in there. I think I'll put the juice probably of this entire lime. Now I did some research on chimichurri sauce and it originated in South America. Obviously, Costa Rica's in Central America, so it migrated up to that area. But it was kind of the predominant sauce, on fish at least. I'm not sure I've ever had it. I may have in my life, I don't know, but certainly not as much as I did over the past week, and absolutely fell in love with it. Just delicious stuff. All right, here's the cilantro. I'm gonna add that in. Now for the olive oil. Totally guessing on amount. May have to add a little more. I'll start on the light side. That might be too light on the olive oil. I might have to go some more. I'm gonna add some hot sauce, just a few dabs, and then some salt and pepper. I'm gonna season the fish well, so I don't wanna put a ton of salt and pepper. All right, here we go. Let's see how this looks. All right, that looks about the consistency of the chimichurri I had in Costa Rica. Let me give it a taste. All right, it almost looks like a pesto. I'm gonna give it a try, see how it is. Absolutely delicious, definitely needs a little more salt. All right, there we go. Chimichurri is done. Now it's time to work on these fish. All right, as far as seasoning the fish, I'm going the easy route tonight. I'm using this Louisiana fish fry Cajun seasoning. Definitely like this stuff. Use it a good amount, especially when I'm in a hurry, which I kind of am tonight. Put a good coating on one side of the fish. No reason to do both sides, and it kind of gets a little bit over seasoned. I've got just a little bit of my tallow left. I got some more in the fridge, but a little bit left in this jar. I make my own tallow, and that's what I sear my fish in. I got my pan good and hot, super important. All right, go ahead and drop some of these fillets in here. All right, see what kind of sear we got on these crappie fillets. Yeah, okay. Probably went a little light on the tallow in the pan. You can see these fillets are kind of falling apart. Crappie are so tender, so it makes them so good. And of course, they cook really, really quickly in a hot pan. Definitely important to get that pan good and hot. All right, here are my fillets. I add some veggies to the plate. And of course, some chimichurri to the fish. All right, that's almost precisely how it looked in Costa Rica. Just like that. And we'll see if it tastes as good as it did in Costa Rica. All right, let's find out. So good, so fresh. If you like fresh herbs, you're gonna love this. I absolutely love the way this stuff tastes. I'm so glad I discovered this. I mean, it's new to me, obviously not new to other people, but I love it. I absolutely love it. Make this at home, super easy and super delicious. All right, well, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Also subscribe to the Marshman Masson channel on YouTube. And until next time, if we don't see you in the marsh, or I guess in the river near my house, we'll see you right here on Marshman Masson.